This video is brought to you by FLOWER Magazine. See the description of this video to subscribe now and receive 6 copies each year for more beautiful interior design, flowers, and gardens.
I was the design chair along with Charlotte Moss, and I will tell you it is one of the most fabulous show houses I have ever been involved with. Hello everyone, I'm Suzanne Kasler from Atlanta, Georgia. My firm is Suzanne Kasler Interiors, and we were very excited this year to be part of the beautiful FLOWER Magazine Showhouse. I was really excited, and it was really an honor that they asked me to do the large living room. And what's interesting about the house architecturally is that the living room space has a full kitchen in the space. And yet the architecture of the house is a Regency-inspired design by Peter Block, an architect here in Atlanta. And it was a different challenge for me. How do we incorporate a beautiful kind of Regency architecturally designed room that has a kitchen in the room? So what I ended up doing was I was inspired, as often I am inspired, by Paris and everything French. I then called the room the Salon. And the reason I called it that is because there are different seating arrangements happening. I put a big center table with a big skirted center table in the middle. The room is so big, and then at the one end is this beautiful kitchen and a bar. And that way, in a salon space, a lot of activities can happen at one time. And at the same time, I think it was very successful in that the way I always approach design is really looking at the architecture first, how the room's going to flow, and then how it visually interacts with each other. The biggest debate that I had on the room was using a wallpaper. And this year's show house, I did find out that there are over 52 wallpapers used in the house. And I really debated about the only place there was to wallpaper in my room would be the ceiling. And the room is really enormous. I think it's like, it could be, almost 30, 40 feet wide and 60 feet long. The ceiling is just this massive ceiling. And my room is all done in the Chateau de Ming white plaster called Sill. But my room has a lot of windows. So I went back and forth. And at the last minute, I called Philip Jeffries, and I had seen this wall covering that's very architectural and geometric. It's in their whole line called La Bibliothèque. It was a new collection, and they sent it to me, and we literally put it up within a few days. And I do think that that detail was just a beautiful element in pulling the room together, and it might be something that I would not have done ever before. Even though I might have wallpapered a ceiling in a tea paper, I haven't wallpapered in a geometric pattern. And this pattern is in beautiful subtle metallics. The ceiling pulls the entire room into one piece, one architectural place, and then you can start segmenting it from there. There's a whole abstract feeling that if you really are looking at designing a room and thinking about the architectural space, if you design it right, it is like a composition as an artist puts together as a designer. That is what a designer can do. Then you feel this sense of feeling good in the room when you're there. Hickory Chair was a sponsor also, and I am able to showcase a number of my beautiful pieces from my collection. And I used those with a lot of the pieces I had bought at the Paris flea market. And that's what I love about, again, my furniture collection. The big jock sofa, my Lee armless sofa, which is a signature piece that's done in the gold of the drapery, my bar stools, the Laurent, even the small miscellaneous chairs. They worked with all these other pieces that I collected that were really antiques and pieces from the Paris flea market, like the sculptural light fixtures. We were working early with the builder on the house, so we selected a beautiful Johnstone fireplace from Chesney's, which again really reflected the sensitivity of the architectural built, the space itself that the architect had kind of planned. But it was kind of great that I was able to select the mantle. One of the other things that I did in our room, which they did not do in other rooms, we had the big iron doors, and I painted them white. A lot of the rooms did leave the doors in the dark metal, but I really wanted to kind of see through the room and not stop, and the doors have a pivot hinge. And the way I also laid out the room, I put the furniture, the sofa, in the middle between the two pivot hinge doors, so when the traffic flow goes around on both sides of the room. I think that's always really important when designing a room, how it's going to interact with the outside space. Today, design is no longer just about your interiors. It really is sequencing and looking through to the other rooms. What's really exciting about this show house, all the rooms did not plan to relate to each other, but visually they work so great with each other. When you come in the entry and look into our room, Michelle Nussbaumer's room looks amazing with our room, and then Alexa Hampton's dining room looks like we maybe coordinated matching it. Even Jared Hughes did the staircase carpeting, and I thought maybe he had gotten a sample of my drapery from my living room. And then I love looking into Barry Dixon's library. So much of my room is sequencing other spaces, and I think that is an important thing to take into consideration when you're designing that space. I kept it very quiet, even though I really have just openings and windows. And then that's where, again, the ceiling, and then, that beautiful wood floor with the, I did a really beautiful big Ushak rug I found in Dallas. The interesting thing about this room for me was actually having the kitchen in the beautiful living space. I do a really fabulous collection for La Cornue stove, and I was able to have the La Cornue stove brought in my new color. It's called Graphite. It's like a gray, dark gray blue. I then lacquered the bar in the same color, because it was a challenge for me to figure out how to make the kitchen work with that living space initially. How do you make a beautiful dressing room that's really elegant and in a city house work with having the kitchen in the room? And I really feel like it's so successful and will be very inspiring for people, because that is how people are living today. Obviously there's a back scullery kitchen, but people really want to be in the kitchen and part of the whole conversation of the room. So for me to be able to work with the La Cornue in my collection and have the bar lacquered, we even did some brass detailing on the bar. I know Kingdom Woodworking did a beautiful detail reflecting that detail that I took from the stove with its combination of brass and the chrome accents. I kept the kitchen really quiet with the La Cornue and the bar being the feature, and I think it's really, it's so beautiful. Design today is so much about inside, outside living. So I know when we're working on projects, we're involved in the very beginning with the architect and the landscape architect and the interior designer. Like I said, even for my room, it's looking out into the beautiful pool area, and you have to look past a little loggia, enclosed loggia. So even when I was thinking about the design, like I mentioned, painting the window grid white, so that I just kept going with my visual to the beautiful pool. And there's a beautiful sculpture that they put at the very end of the pool that also you can see from my room. So I think what it shows is when you do get the right team, that it enhances whatever room you're doing. And you have to be sensitive in making your design decisions with that in mind. I think that one of the attractions for the show house was getting a house that architecturally is significant. Peter is the architect and John Howard is the landscape designer. Today's houses, there's such a sophistication. People love design and they really appreciate that seeing that collaborative team come together and the impact it can be on a whole project. And in this house, you know, taking a lot on one of the most prestigious streets in Atlanta and doing a really significant architectural house will become the fabric of the street.